Okay, it is 10:06 a.m. and I had one trade, and I also got out of another trade that was a swing trade based off of a stop that I had. And let's just go over JPEX first. There was a point where I could have been in right here at 172. Kind of had like this nice uptrend. It was down the other day significantly, a little sketchy because it got all the way to 10, right? And the thing opens right at a much higher price. It has a nice spike. I don't regret not being a part of this spike because it was just very risky if you ask me. But when I did get to this level at 172, I was somewhat interested in it because it had a nice spike. I mean, from what, 15 to 19, which is a lot of range. And then it kind of downtrends here, kind of gets back up, but then it really gets under VWAP, and it looks like it was going to turn around. I would have been in at 172. I wanted to have been in, in the 1.6s, although that would have been more ideal, sure. And there was an opportunity to sell this thing profitably at 175, which was at the bid, or maybe try to get in at 177 or 178, and it held VWAP, so it was never really a setup that was horrible. It just would have been just a brief point where I would have sold for a loss, which would have been right here if I didn't sell when it was uptrending here, and it was showing that, although it made that uptrend from the entry at 172, it wasn't really doing much more here. So that could have been a setup that would have worked out, and I actually would have had too many shares. I just didn't look at it properly. I would have had 25,000 shares, which would have been a $25 risk level in theory, but I never traded it. But I did get in right here at 951. Right here, 951 was this candle right here, and I was in at 182. Why was I in it right here? Because it was looking very nice. The price action was looking good. It looked like it was going to try to make a move, maybe break the little wick right here and uptrend even more. But in terms of not including the wick, it looks like it was trying to do a higher day breakout. So I was in it for that reason at 951, but the price action just started to look bad, and I got out at 953. I actually had really good access at 953. I sold at 184. I was in at 182. I made just basically roughly $1 trading a very small size. This is like a $5 risk level in theory, but this one is, although not doing it, it can do it, and it's holding this range a lot better than what I would have expected, because it almost looked like a head and shoulders, maybe like a shoulder head shoulder. Let's say here the head is shorter than the shoulders. It can do it, it could do it much later. It might fail and break this level, but I was a part of it, and if it were to have worked out, that would have been super profitable. And as for the one I got out of, this is the wrong one. Let me switch to the right one. Alright, this is the right one. This is my swing trading account with KRBN, and I lost $1.52. So technically I'm down today 52 pennies, which stinks, but this was it for the swing trade. Really, this thing is not the same thing that it was when I first saw it back at 42, and I just need to get that out of my head. I just I'm just so impressed at how well this one has held, considering how the overall markets have been recently, just so strong. And my mistake was buying it the other day at the 4th, which was right here, even though it looks like maybe it was going to do some kind of a breakout and continue the uptrend. I've learned this lesson, and this is another example that if I want to get in a setup that is going to be longer than a day, at least in theory that's the plan, I should get it only when it's below EMA4, which is this red line here. So any point that is under EMA4 is more ideal than for me to try here, because then it might be above it, and then the next day it ends up below it, and then you get wrecked. So I lost 0.5% here, and again I was in this day, and I got out. I had to stop at, I placed a stop before the market opened, and that was at 55.61. I got executed at 9:03, which, well, not actually 9:03. When did I get out? 9:43. I think it was this candle. Yeah, it's almost like it came just to mess with my stop, right? But you know, when it got to my stop, they're like, oh wait, you know, that stop was only 5 shares. Well, whatever market maker saw my stop and did that. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it did downtrend here. It turned around, and then I guess I could have sold for break even or a profit, but that's not really my goal. If I wanted to, I could have had a wider stop at maybe something below this range, maybe a 540, 55.40, but you know, I didn't have the best entry because I bought the thing again when it was above EMA 4. So that's the case with that. Just you know, one trade and one exit here. I don't see anything else. IOUS did kind of offer a morning panic bounce back. It could have been in right here, but this thing is trading with a wide spread, at least when it was right here, so I never gave it any money because it just looked kind of ugly. This one is actually uptrending, but I don't like how low volume it is. And yeah, I don't see anything else right now, but I'll make an update later. If that's all I can trade, I'll be fine. At least I did the best with JPEX, and reminder, if I want to swing a setup or hold on to it for longer than a day, I should at least buy it if it's below EMA 4. Alright, it is 10:39. I just got out of another trade with MTTR, and I could be maybe not so happy in the future if it really decides to turn around on a daily chart. If you look at it, it could try to turn around, because I guess it has moved since, but it was following this trend line very, very closely. Let's see if I can try to get it to move and try to show what I was looking at, but in theory this thing was following this trend line right here. You know, it kind of turned around here and made a move, and now it kind of came back, but it's still trying to base around this low $8, the high $7 range right here, and it can totally try to turn around at any point. It has a lot of ability to do something like that, so this could be something that could, you know, end up working out over the next few days and be like a swing trade setup. And that kind of was my goal, for this to be a swing trade, but I ended up just getting out of it. I think maybe I'm not that good with just swing trading in general, but perhaps if I get into a trade looking at it as if it were to be a swing trade and then I get out, maybe that just puts me in the situation where I trade a better setup in general, perhaps. But I was in 20 shares at 10, not 10, I was in at 1026, 819, and I'm gonna calculate what my dollar risk level was, but essentially I was in it right here at 1026, right here in this consolidation right here at 819. And I was in because, you know, I had it like a downtrend. I could draw a trend line. I'll do it very quickly, but essentially right about here, see how it follows this trend line from here, you know, follows it, it broke it here, nice uptrend, and then it came back near the lows, and I was in right here at 1026 at 819 for that reason. It did break a little lower, it never got below 8, but in theory I had my first stop if it were to have broken under 8, and I would have gone out at 796. But then I thought, you know, I'm only in just 20 shares, you know, it's not that crazy, so, you know, 163, if I get out at 796, which it could totally do, it's not a big difference. See, 159, 163, right, like $4 or $5. So, you know, why should I just risk it at that price? Wouldn't it be better, since I'm thinking of this as more of a swing trade, if I risked like the low on this range right here, this recent range? And I was thinking, alright, what's the low on this candle? 750. I thought, okay, that's way too much, but this one is not so bad at 782 being the low, this little candle right here. So I thought, alright, maybe I should put my stop there. This is a more of a swing trade example. This could be something I can hold for the next few days, so I moved the stop to 783. And eventually at 10:35 I sold 5 shares at 826, which was 10:35 right here. 826, not 826 actually, 820, almost 829. But that was the first move right there at 8. Jeez, why am I stumbling on my numbers? 10:35 I was out 5 shares, and then 10:36 I sold 5 more shares, and then this one kind of broke into the 830s, right? And I thought, all right, well, even though I'm looking at this as a swing trade setup, if it gets to VWAP, I'll be very interested in getting out. And then at that point, because it did at least uptrend for my entry at 819, I thought, all right, let me put a stop at 819. Actually, my limit is also 819. Let me just put a stop right there, at 1037, which I did put right here. So in theory, I sold half of my position for a profit if it goes back to my entry, which it could very easily do, and I sell there for break even the other 10 shares. At least I sold half while it was still uptrending, and I gave it the opportunity for it to uptrend even more beyond this range right here throughout the day, or maybe the next day. And that could just be something where I just at least expose myself to more risk but more profitability. Worst case scenario, I get out those last 10 shares for break even. But I thought, never mind, screw it. 1039 right here, I got out because it looked like it was going to top, and it did top right here. But the thing is that it might uptrend later on throughout the rest of the day, or maybe another day in the future, and it never gets below my stop. So yeah, if this thing never gets to 819 and it uptrends the rest of the day, that's a lesson learned. I just missed out on profits, and that would be the case with that. I ended up making like just a small amount, $2.31, but this is something I could have traded with 200 or 2,000 shares. So yeah, I need to get better with stuff like this. I want to see what this can do, if it's going to uptrend or not. If it gets back to where my entry was, I can at least have a cope and say, well, hey, at least it didn't work out. At least I sold in theory for higher, but I probably should have stuck to my plan in that sense. But yeah, we'll see what this one can do. As for the other ones, nothing really interesting here with JPEX. This one, I mean, it's nice it did the move here. It had a dip opportunity, but it just has no volume, and it's so crazy the volatility it has, because it's probably super low float. So I don't mind missing that too much. ILUS, I'm not interested in it. If it did this uptrend and then it came back rather quickly to the 20 range, I would have been interested, but that didn't happen. So yeah, that's the case for right now. I'll make an update later. I don't think I'll trade anything else, but if I do, I'll make an update. Alright, it is 7:14 p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, I finished up not much, like $1.81, and that was with 2 trades that kind of worked out. It didn't work out too well, but I wasn't getting out of either of those 2 trades at a loss, but I did get out of KRBM because my stop was triggered. I just didn't give myself a really good chance to be profitable in this, and it's not, again, the same thing that it was back here when I was interested at 42 and I hesitated. But if I buy something above EMA4, I just don't allow myself a good chance to be in at a good price and avoid just unnecessary risk then for me to be in at a price below EMA4, which is just seems to play out more often than not with swing term setup. So JPEX, again, my little buy was at attempt here, the breakouts, and that was at, just to confirm, yeah, 951. It just didn't really work out, which is fine. I got out of it profitably. Great executions with Fidelity, and then I had that trade with MTTR. I was interested in it when it was trying to base around the 8s, but I thought, by the way this one is trading, it's probably going to break under it at some point, and it did here, right? But then it did eventually uptrend from this, $8 level to $8.20, and that was close to VWAP, but it closed right back at this level. There's just something cursed about this stock, and maybe, it'll finally turn around when I stop caring about it. But if it's gonna be that hard to put up with, maybe I'll just leave it alone, because some of it is just not worth all the effort. But you know, it could try to reverse at any point. But there's clearly something cursed about it. You know, even if it does work out, I think it's better than LWLG. Although this one is very similar in that this one used to be an OTC, so it's a bit more sketchy compared to this one. But yeah, that's about it. I didn't trade IOUS. I could have in theory, but it just wasn't nice the way it did it. This one did offer a dip buy. I just don't like the way this one doesn't have much volume, although it does have the volatility. Yeah, that's about it. Just made a little, none of the setups really nicely worked out, which is fine, but at least I had some experience there, and I just have to keep going.